need to be fine-tuned, and changing body rhythms and fluctuations from the disorder itself. We treat the symptoms basically through major drug classes depending on the need and the changing needs to right the chemistry that is the dysfunction. And so you get mood stabilizers such as Epival, lithium, and things like that. You get anti-anxiety, which there is complications for that as well. You have to be careful of addictions. For example, I think it was on the top of my head. Starts with an R. I can't remember the name of it, but it actually can be quite addicting, and so that can be a problem right there. But some of these anti-anxieties, you consult your doctor and make sure that you're not going to have a problem with addictions getting off it when you no longer need the anti-anxiety. And because this it's a mood disorder, so it goes full spectrum. It changes. And the major and minor tranquilizers, these are the antipsychotics and anti-anxiety drugs, and the antidepressants. And you have to be very careful to monitor this. As I said with the team, it can be very dangerous, such as Prozac, studies on Prozac. There were, suicides and homicides and all kinds of outbursts of all kinds of uncharacteristic aggressions, etc. Because antidepressants, that has to be very carefully monitored as the mood person starts to pull out of it, that they don't go spinning into an absolute hypomanic or hypermanic state. Severe mania, severe aggression, etc. comes with that. The symptoms magnify, that I just read, with the degree of intensity of the illness, either way. And so always the changes need to be monitored with a team of psychiatric medical. That's the medical team, the psychiatric team. And the reason why, because psychiatrists have medical training. They are first doctors, and then they are, have beyond that 4 more years of specialization in that particular aspect of those particular types of biochemistries, disorders, and how that would affect the brain. And so they would be the ones to assess and monitor how these medications are working. And that is a large part of the treatment. And so treatment and recovery now. The goal is stabilization or homeostasis towards zero, towards normal. And so for the brain chemistry in the body and the metabolism. And so that is treated with meds. And then there are other forms of supports that are in place. For example, family is vital. It's vital to have a supportive family member that understand what's going on and operate in that understanding. And not just give mental assent to it, but actually operate in the understanding of empathy here. And so we also need, because when I was in this field, it was unbelievable to me how much lack of support there was to do with family members who quite often were in the field. But they're treating other people, but their own family members, they just let go by the wayside, which is ridiculous. And it's very revealing as to what maybe is the motive here for being in the field. Is it to serve self, or is it to really, truly serve the people who are the most vulnerable and sick among us? And so I have done another video you might like to see called Advanced Warfare, or Spiritual Warfare, Advanced Warfare, called Secular Humanism, Angel of Light. You might want to see that uploaded to a Google video and all over. That addresses the issues of these types of issues, such as I found in the mental health system, the traps of the mental health system. It's not perfect by any means, but it is getting better with the advances in what they're finding to do with the medical treatments. And so there should be a supportive family, a supportive psychiatric medical team, clinical team that is listening to this person and listening to their concerns and believing what they hear. Listening, not treating everything like it's all delusional, but listening and being able to decipher what is delusional but what is real concerns. And so to have a discerning medical team, and if you don't have one, go shop around for one the way you would getting a second and third opinion as soon as you're well enough. And there are people, mental health advocates out there that you Google in mental health advocate, and you will find people who do that very thing, and they will direct you to a supportive team. And if you're suffering with this illness, because this is the last thing you need. You don't need people with problems here who, you need to be looking out for yourself and get yourself the best medical team and help you can get, and they're out there. And so healthful lifestyle is another one. So plenty of good rest, exercise, water, think to keep the system flushed and clear and clean and like that. But exercise to keep the system moving, to keep the toxins moving out. And especially, you get something like depression where it's you need to move. Because the whole thing about depression is shutting down, so you need to make sure that you're moving in order to not get stuck, And so this is also a disease you have to be very careful with. This disease, you have to be careful anyway. As a Christian counselor, I'll tell you right now, we go by faith, and then by facts, by faith, and then by feeling according to the Word of God. And so we need to be careful that we're not listening to just how we feel, because our feelings are predicated on our beliefs, and our beliefs can be wrong. And so especially with this disorder, it's a mood disorder, and so the moods are going up and down. You're not going to be able to trust what's going on with your emotions half the time, so you do need practically more than ever something that is a touchstone that doesn't change, something that's timeless and ancient like the Word of God. And frequently people do who have any form of mental illness do come to the Lord, and so they belong to Him, because the humble come to God because they know they need Him. And so just stay close to what it says in the Word of God and live a healthy lifestyle. And I'll get to the spiritual aspects of it in a minute. But for the recovery and the treatment, it's mostly around symptom abuse or substance abuse, treating that, and any secondary things that may have come out of trying to cope with the illness. So you may have some very bad habits that you picked up or whatever along the way, and those have to be dealt with. Some of these issues are called dual diagnosis issues. In other words, you may have a substance abuse problem as well as a classified mental illness, complete with all the symptoms that go with that. And so there is a stigma problem out there in society, but it's not as bad as it was, which is dispelled. It is coming from ignorance, fear, misconceptions, a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding, a lack of empathy, etc. The typical labels of criminal, lazy, dangerous, all misinformation that can be applied to people on any one of this spectrum. Actually, it can be applied to us all, but if you have an illness that causes behavior changes, for example, because of the mood and perceptual changes that happen in the brain, well, you're going to be subject to more scrutiny. Then maybe there's gossip always, right? But you're going to really be getting it then, because what people fear and they don't understand, well, then they tend to condemn and get into the condemnation cycle and all that. And you have to know that. You have to know that's what's going on. And so the way to defeat the stigma is through education and dispelling fears and misinformation through knowledge. And so you have to try and do what you can in order to educate people and get the materials in their hands so they understand what's going on, so that maybe they could be supportive. And to create practical daily supports while you're actually actively ill. And that's right up to and including hospitalization. If you need to get yourself in the hospital,